Well, there you are, and here I am. Ladies and gentlemen, Vic Solo, in the wrestling world known as Vic Vicious, back with you once again in an undisclosed location in New England. I'm in Rhode Island. But last night, a little earlier this year, we normally do September, but last night from when this was recorded, on August the 1st, 2026, we had the International Wrestling Federation annual reunion and Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and what a night it was. We may have had one of the lowest attended reunions, but it's quality, not quantity. I know that's so cliche, but you know something? It's very true. Very true. So many of the superstars of the International Wrestling Federation were out, and it was great to see everybody. Some people I hadn't seen in over 30 years. Some people I hadn't seen since last year. But regardless, it was just great to get together and celebrate Walter Killer Kowalski, our beloved Uncle Walter, once again, and honor another class into the IWF Hall of Fame. For our legacy class, people who have passed on, we inducted Irish Tubby Muffet, who passed away about a month or so ago. Dan Vinyl, his actual name, but Irish Tubby Muffet was his ring name. And nice fella. He came to our very first reunion. I met him at some shows in the past. And great worker, great guy. We'll miss you. And if you know your history in WWF, we also inducted another Walter Kowalski alumni, the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, also known as the Golden Terror. And he was inducted by the one and only returning Dangerous Danny Davis. Danny, great to have you back at the reunion once again. And thank you for inducting the Duke of Dorchester, Pete Doherty, into the IWF Hall of Fame. Legacy class of 26. We also inducted, Big John Callahan inducted Frank Savage and Jeff Claney. If I'm saying his name wrong, I apologize. I think it was, Craney, Jeff Craney. Jeff Craney and Frank Savage were also alum from the International Wrestling Federation. Same training class as Big John Callahan, so only fitting that John inducted them into our Hall of Fame. And then we also did we had a ring bell, because we did a 10-bell salute for all of our departed brothers and sisters, and especially for an already Hall of Famer that we lost this year, the one and only Tony Ulysses, who I had the chance to work with a few times, and just a sweet, sweet guy. If you knew Tony, Mel Simon said it best last night before the 10-bell salute. Tony Ulysses was one of those guys in the wrestling business that no one had a bad thing to say about. Everybody loved Tony. And rest in peace, brother. You know, we're going to miss you. You know, and it's a shame that we have to do legacy inductees and we have to do 10-bell salutes, but time marches on and no one lives forever, so we just want to honor those who were with us in the IWF. As for our regular class of superstars of the past who were in attendance, it was my personal pleasure to induct the Irish Leprechaun, Jeffrey Ludy. Great to see him once again. He was someone I went up and down the roads with, not only with IWF, but some other organizations as well, Yankee Pro Wrestling and a few others. And, proof that you don't have to be a big muscular monster like Hulk Hogan or the Ultimate Warrior or Obafemi to be a superstar in this business. Jeff Ludy, the Irish Leprechaun, a little person and a talented, fantastic athlete, and a great human being. Proud to call him my friend and my brother in wrestling, and proud to induct him into the Hall of Fame. Then, I've mentioned it many times on the channel before, that wrestling show, that wonderful wrestling show that Walter Kowalski put on in the late 70s, early 80s, Bedlam from Boston. We've had a lot of the Bedlam guys come to the event, to the reunion. We've been able to induct a lot of them in the Hall of Fame. And this year was no exception. Former IWF Tag Team Champion Dan Petty, and Dan was he was one of the first class members trained by Walter Kowalski in Salem, Massachusetts, way back when, and he held the tag team titles with superstar Richard Byrne, and went on to do some stuff in the WWF. A fantastic wrestler and a great guy. I had met him one time before, so it was good to see him again, come back to the reunion, and I'm glad that we were able to induct him into the 2026 International Wrestling Federation Hall of Fame. And then our final inductee, or so I thought, more on that in a minute, was my favorite opponent of all time, Snooky Fink. Think back to Middleborough 1993, if you're from Middleborough, Massachusetts, when we used to do the annual Mega Bash wrestling show. Mega Bash 93, no retreat, no surrender. Main event that night was Jimmy Superfly Snuka versus the Mountie at the Middleborough High School Gymnasium, the old high school gym. But one of the other feature matches on the show was a mixed tag team match. If you're not familiar with mixed tag teams, that's a male and a female wrestler on each team. Snooky Fink and IWF Hall of Famer Rosebud took on yours truly and my big sister and my best friend Brittany Brown, and we won the match, but I think I won Snooky's respect. And to this day, he and I name each other as our favorite opponent of all time. Anytime Snook and I got in that ring together, we made magic, and it's like we could read each other's minds, and it was an honor and a pleasure to induct Snooky into the Hall of Fame. And of course I inducted him, and then I thought we were finished, and I said, Hall of Famers line up for a picture. Brittany Brown has a plaque in her hand, comes to the front of the room and says, wait a minute, we have a surprise tonight, everybody. And I'm just like, what's going on? She never gets up and speaks at the reunion, so what is going on? And she said, we have one more surprise inductee into the Hall of Fame. She's someone I've worked with many times. And she hands me this. Ladies and gentlemen, manager Vic Vicious, the first International Wrestling Federation manager to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I had no idea this was going to happen, but there it is. I was inducted into the IWF Hall of Fame by Brittany Brown. Only fitting that my big sister and my best friend in the wrestling business did the induction. Everybody's speeches last night were short, but I think mine might have been the shortest, because as I fought hard not to cry, I said, guys, I just got one thing to say. Choked up a little bit, looked around the room, and I just said, thank you. I didn't think I needed to say anything more, because in the past, I've always opened the reunion with remarks about how much I love and appreciate my IWF brothers and sisters. So there was no need to reiterate it. I just had to say thank you. And I posed for the picture. We all posed for the picture with our plaques. And there it is, everybody. I am in the International Wrestling Federation Hall of Fame at the IWF reunion, an event that I created. And I was inducted by my best friend and my big sister, Brittany Brown. And I have to thank her for all these years helping me out. This started out in 2013. So 13 years later, we're still doing it. And I could not do it without her. You know, she's here in New England all the time. I'm in Florida. But we still get together and we get all this going, along with John Callahan and Pam Warren, who help out with pictures and event posters, and Pam with her magic camera. And look on Facebook for some pictures coming up from the IWF reunion, because she was everywhere. But just want to thank everyone that showed up last night. And congratulations to all the inductees into the 2026 Hall of Fame, of which I cannot believe I'm sitting here telling you that I was one of those inductees. I never expected that in a million years. I didn't pull a Triple H. I did not induct myself. As it turns out, this was a well-guarded surprise, masterminded by Brittany Brown and Dangerous Dave Starr, another International Wrestling Federation superstar. And thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you everybody who attended last night. It was great to see everyone again, and I'm pretty sure that before I fly back to Florida tonight, that I'll get together with Brittany, John, and Pam, and we'll start the wheels a-turning for next year's International Wrestling Federation reunion and Hall of Fame induction ceremony, all in tribute to our beloved Uncle Walter Killer Kowalski. who took an island of misfit toys, you might say. Took a bunch of us who, none of us were really the same as anyone else, but we all had one thing in common. We all wanted to be in the wrestling business. And I want to clarify, that says manager on my plaque because that's how I started in the wrestling business, not just the IWF. And I've always said for years that I always wanted to be remembered more as a manager that just happened to know how to wrestle, or how to work, as we say in the business. And Brittany Brown took a big chance on me and making me her manager and her tag team partner in mixed tag team matches everywhere. Like she said at the reunion last night after she handed me the plaque, and I looked like a deer in the headlights. But what a night. I'm still looking at this plaque in awe. I never, ever in my wildest dreams thought I would see my name in a professional wrestling Hall of Fame. One more time. It has happened. I am the first manager for the IWF to go into the International Wrestling Federation Hall of Fame. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Dangerous Dave. Thank you to all my brothers and sisters for the wonderful, thunderous applause you gave me last night as I was trying not to cry. And I almost did, but I didn't. But just never in my wildest dreams. I'm proud to say that I'm now a IWF Hall of Famer. And it's wonderful. And thank you to everyone in the wrestling business I ever worked with or worked for, but especially to Walter Killer Kowalski, who, if he was still here this October 13th, 2026, he would have been 100 years old. That was pointed out to me by Pam Warren last night at the reunion. And we made a toast to Walter because he was our Uncle Walter. He was our beloved surrogate uncle. And I'm so proud to have been a part of this organization and the wrestling business. So tonight, I hop on a JetBlue and go back to Florida. And I got the Elvis Experience returns next month. So look for some clips. I've been me, you've been you. Everybody take care of yourselves and one another. And y'all be good now. See you soon. Thank you.